Hey everyone, it's John Moncrief, founder of the Freedom Experience, and welcome to this episode. So today I want to talk to you about culture, and I want to talk to you about how you go through changing your culture. It's no easy feat to go from where you are now to where you want to go and how you want that culture to feel. So I want to talk to you about 5 things I think that can make a difference as you go through that process. I mean, you've probably experienced something that has led you to this point where you're saying, it's time to do something about my culture. And it may be that you wake up and you dread coming into the office because you just got this feeling that there's no great energy there, what sucks the energy out of you. And you know you need to do something about that. Or you've been reading something and you've read about how culture can make an impact to your bottom line. And how important it is to work on your culture to make that change. Perhaps you've been to a conference, or you've visited a competitor or somebody else in the industry, and you've been into the offices and you've just thought, wow, like what a great vibe, or this company has Mojo. It was something Bo Burlingham spoke about in his book, Small Giants, coming into a company and just having this feeling around you of that this place has got Mojo. It just feels, there's an energy here. It feels great. And you may have observed that or felt it, and you want to bring that into your organization. You want to change your organization and change the culture. And something here that I want you to think about is, sometimes we go off and want to change something or create something, but that culture may already exist. And it may be more a case of uncovering the culture in your organization. So as we go through these 5 ideas or these 5 points I want to share with you, think about whether your culture is something you need to change or something you need to uncover. So the first thing I want to talk about is clarity. Changing your culture or reinventing your company's culture isn't a tick box process. It's not all about introducing ping pong and pizza and handing down some values from on high. It's a long journey, and it's a never-ending journey. It requires constant work. So I really want you to think about why you're doing this. Why do you need to change the culture? Get very clear on that, because if you're not committed to the process, then you're just going to go through this kind of false starts, and your team's not going to believe in the work that you're doing. So be very clear on what it is you want to do, be very clear on where you want to go, and why you want to make this change in your company, why you want to change the culture. So the second thing is, once you're clear on that and why you want to do this, start with yourself. It's like being on an airline, and they talk about pulling down the oxygen bag if something goes wrong, and giving yourself oxygen first before you deal with children and the people around you. And this is the same thing when it comes to culture and making change in your business. Before you start working with everybody else and changing the culture, you need to start working on yourself. So whether it's books and picking up books and just reading about what it takes to change a culture, and there's so much information between those covers nowadays, there's really no excuse for going out there and buying some great books and just learning about culture. And the books I love are books by people like Bo Burlingham and Small Giants, and Paul Spiegelman talking about his organization, Beryl Health, and I think his book was called Why Is Everybody Smiling? And I'll put these into the links and share some of the books that I really love about culture and building a culture. But get out there and start reading. Start attending conferences and events, places that you can get inspiration from, people you can speak to and share ideas with. Join CEO networks. There's great networks like the Small Giants community, the EO entrepreneurial organization. Look at them and see what fits with your values and with your culture. So, if you look at small giants, about purpose-driven leaders. So think about the sort of fit for you as an individual and as your organization, and spend time with people who've been through the process already. Share ideas, use them as sounding boards. So get clarity, get the oxygen to yourself first, like work on yourself and inspire yourself for this journey. Then start involving the team. I mean, as I said, this is not a tick box process. So your number 3 is get the team involved. And you're setting out to kind of build a Camelot. You have your knights around the round table who come up with the values, and the people buy into the values and share ownership in the values. So you're kind of constructing this castle in a way. And I'm going to talk about defending that castle in a little bit. But you want to work with your leadership team and with everybody else in the organization, in the community, to build this castle or this Camelot or this community. And the reason for that is that when your team is involved and there's shared ownership of the vision, and shared ownership of the vision and the values and the culture, people are far more likely to defend that culture, which is really important, and we'll get to that defense, to defending it in a moment. But another way to think about this is, and talking about uncovering your culture rather than changing your culture. So when you are working with your team, instead of you handing the culture down from on high and saying, these are my values, and I've seen so many entrepreneurs saying, this is the TIM 5, and kind of trying to push that down into the culture. Involve your team and think about a mission to Mars. I know I've used this analogy in previous episodes, but you really want to think about, if I were going to Mars, who are the team that I'd want to take with me? So on the one hand, you kind of get inspired and you think, I want to change the culture, and I'm going to start working with the whole team and working on the culture. But the culture may well already exist in your organization. And if you think about taking a trip to Mars, taking the journey to Mars, going on a mission to Mars, you look to the people inside your organization and you say, who would be the best people to make that journey with me to Mars, or with us to Mars? And you can write them down on the board and say, there's Pete and Jill and Jack and whoever those folks are. And then more importantly, what are the characteristics? What are the reasons that you want, or that you're comfortable to make this journey or this trip to Mars with those people? And write down the characteristics. So Jack, no matter what goes wrong, will go out of his way to fix it, and we can rely on him to fix it. Jill is always bringing people together and making sure they collaborate on a problem. And what happens when you bring out those characteristics of the people that you've identified as your sort of mission to Mars team, is that you start to uncover your core values, which form the basis of your culture. And then you can go back and look at the rest of the team and kind of map out your whole team in an organizational structure and say, how do the rest of the team fit with these core values that we've identified? How does the rest of the team fit with the top 5-6 people in the business who really demonstrate and live our values? So you have clarity on why you're doing this. You've started doing some work on yourself. You get your team involved, and you identify all of the core values that come from the team that you would do the trip to Mars with. Once you've got those, you need to start institutionalizing. So number 4 is institutionalizing the core values and culture that you've either uncovered or that you've changed. And I want to keep reiterating that. Your culture might already exist inside your organization. It may sit amongst sort of 4, 5, 6 people already, and uncovering that is really important, rather than trying to change it, rather than trying to get the leadership team together and come up with a whole lot of words that are more aspirations than your real values or culture. Institutionalize it. For your culture to gain momentum, you need to really institutionalize it and make it part of your business. And that means telling stories about it, talking about your culture, telling stories about the culture. It's the foundation, or the foundation of culture is personal recognition. So any opportunity that you can to tell a story about how somebody did something great in line with a core value, whether it's in town halls or via emails. We just helped this customer do that way and call out a core value. We just did a new deal and call out a core value on why we got the deal and how it ties back to our core values. Paul Spiegelman used to keep, Paul Spiegelman, who's the author of Why Is Everybody Smiling and founder of Beryl Health, used to keep a pile of notepads on his desk, and he would write a little note every year on the anniversary of an employee's, or on an employee's anniversary. He would write them a note, and he would make it very personal and call out something that person had done during the year or their tenure with the company, and send that note out and thank them for their service. And I saw that with a business that I work with the other night. One of the co-founders came up to me and said, "Here's a Christmas card with a personal sentiment." And inside he thanked me for the work I'd done that year and talked about what he looked forward to doing the next year. So culture is not this theoretical thing. That it's kind of not taking a look at this at a whole theoretical structure and how you implement that. It's about a whole lot of small things that you institutionalize and make part of your business. And once you've done that, I want to get to this idea that you defend it. So number 5, you want to make sure that you defend what you've built. It's an ongoing process, and you've built your Camelot, and then you put a moat around it. And while you're institutionalizing it and using it as part of your review processes and using it as part of your onboarding process, you're also going to have people who exist in the organization. Some of them were fully engaged in the process, some are indifferent, and others are just wholly disengaged in the whole idea of creating a vision and a culture and its importance and how it might affect your bottom line. There may be times that you need to part ways. So defending it is not just defending it in terms of hiring and the small things you do. It's also making sure that the bad apples don't stay in the business, and that you don't let people who don't fit your culture into the business in the future. So once you've built it, once you've institutionalized it, put a moat around your culture and guard it with your life. It's one of the most valuable assets that your business has. And above all, make it fun. You can't have a good culture without having fun. So that's it for this week. I encourage you to subscribe. Button up here, there. One of them will be the subscribe one. Show notes will give you a list of books. And I'd really love to hear your comments again. If you've got any comments, put them in down below, and tell me how your culture is working for you and whether you need some help, what you think of this, and look forward to seeing you again.